Insta360 X5 versus GoPro Hero 13 isn't really the question we should be asking. The real question is, which one of these cameras is the right tool for what you want to film? Now, this isn't going to be my normal camera comparison where we break down every minute spec and detail about these two cameras. This is going to be more a comparison of, should you choose a 360 camera for what you want to film, or should you choose a traditional action camera for what you want to film? Yes, we will break down some of the specs and the image quality differences and stuff like that, but more from the perspective of which one of these tools is the right tool for what you want to do. But before we start that, let's go someplace warmer, because it's cold. I'd like to say a special thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. So in talking about the strengths of action cameras or strengths of 360 cameras, one of the biggest strengths of a 360 camera is that you're capturing everything everywhere all at once, and you get to reframe. Now, this is one instance where 360 cameras are absolutely fantastic. It's when you don't know where the action's going to happen, but you want to make sure and capture it. I heard something take a big breath, and I was like, all right, a splash. I thought maybe it was waves on a rock, but there's not very many waves. And then I look around and three big sea lions pop their head up above the water. See if we can get them on camera here. Hi, buddy. This is a perfect example. I didn't know exactly where the sea lion was going to pop up, and I certainly didn't know that he was going to swim directly underneath my kayak and give me a good look as he swam by. But one of the best uses of a 360 camera is when you're both the athlete and the cameraman. Because it's capturing everything in a 360-degree sphere, you know you're going to capture the shot. You don't have to worry about aiming the camera in the right direction because you are literally capturing everything. So a 360 camera is fantastic for action sports like skiing or biking, or in my case, a lot of kayaking, and especially when I run around ice caves, because I really have to keep a close eye in what the ceiling looks like and also where I'm putting my feet while walking through the ice cave. So one of the things I do love about 360 cameras is the ability to get these impossible shots in places like right up here. So this is one of the biggest strengths of 360 cameras, is you can get these really odd shots. They almost look like drone shots in some cases, but because the selfie stick disappears in the footage, you can just get really interesting, really creative, and sometimes really odd shots in a way that you just cannot get with a traditional action camera. For example, if I put the same shots side by side with the Insta360 X5 and the GoPro Hero 13, the selfie stick disappears with the X5, whereas with the GoPro, the selfie stick is still going to be in view, and there's just nothing you can do about that. But one of the biggest strengths of a 360 camera is the fact that you get multiple angles out of a single shot. Because the camera is filming everything in a 360-degree sphere, it means you can be able to reframe it in post and capture several different angles from the same shot. Now, one of the downsides is that you also have to reframe in post, which means there's a little extra workflow. But honestly, Insta360's workflow for post editing is so good and so easy, it really doesn't take very much time. But let's say you don't want to edit through the desktop app. Well, the phone app is actually really powerful as well, and it connects quickly, just like that. And then you can go here to the edit tab, and there are a ton of templates. A bunch of them are AI powered. Some of them are okay. Some of them are pretty cool. The Earth Zoom one actually is pretty cool. I like this one. And then let's say you want to grab this bit right there. Next, takes a second to process the clips. And just like that, in a couple of seconds, you have a pretty cool clip that you could post straight to social media off your phone. And they also have an AI edit feature, so you can tap the AI edit feature. You can select a couple of different clips if you want. We'll just select a few here. Say that. And maybe that. Say next. And it takes a minute to process the data and go through it and extract what it thinks is going to be the highlights. And it does a surprisingly good job of grabbing some pretty cool highlight parts of the video. But you also have the option to just use your phone as a reframing tool. It's pretty cool. You go to record, and then make sure it's in manual and say start recording. And now anywhere I move my phone, it's going to follow the gyro data in my phone. So that's super cool and makes it a super easy way to reframe your videos in post. Again, if you just have a phone that you use to create with. So a huge strength of 360 cameras is the fact that you can reframe and get multiple camera angles from a single camera shot. Whereas with a traditional action camera like the GoPro, you're going to have to frame 2, 3, or 4 different shots to get those same shots that you would get easily out of one camera file with the 360 camera. So up to this point, you might be thinking, why would anybody bother getting an action camera over a 360 camera? And honestly, that gap is getting a lot closer. But there are a couple of reasons that you'd want to get an action camera over a 360 camera still currently. One of those is that 360 cameras, because of the way they're designed, are extremely sensitive to drops, falls, anything that could hit those two lenses, because those lenses are very exposed. Now, the X5 has replaceable lenses, thank goodness, because I've already gone through a few, but if you're worried about how your camera might react in the environment you shoot in and you don't want to take the chance of breaking a lens, then an action camera is a little bit more durable. Now, all the cameras have screens, they can all break easily if you fall in the right way, but an action camera is a little bit more durable, at least as far as the lens goes. But then we come to what is probably the biggest reason to consider an action camera, at least for now, is that an action camera, because all of the resolution is all dedicated to that one field of view, you are going to get a higher quality of footage out of it. You just are. You're going to get a little bit more detail and a little bit better looking footage. But the single biggest advantage that the GoPro has is that it gives you the option for 10-bit and log color profiles. All of these shots have been filmed in 10-bit color on the GoPro and the 8-bit on Insta360. Have you noticed a big difference between the two? Now, I've been surprised actually in this video how close or how similar the exported 360 footage from the X5 compares to the GoPro. Now, the colors are different, but the detail is actually not as far off as I thought it would be. However, you are going to get a better quality footage from an action camera just because the entire resolution of that sensor is dedicated to a smaller field of view rather than the massive field of view that a 360 camera needs to be able to stitch those images together. But beyond the look of the footage, there is another place where an action camera still is better than a 360 camera, and that's when it comes to photos. And again, this is partly due to the fact that all of that resolution is directed in one direction, in one field of view. So in this case, like a GoPro is going to take a better photo than a 360 camera. Now, up to this point, it's pretty clear that an action camera has a huge advantage in the footage straight out of camera because it's all pointed one direction and it's giving you all of that resolution in one direction, where the Insta360 or 360 cameras are gathering resolution from everywhere. So you do get a higher quality looking footage. But most 360 cameras now, and the X5 definitely has an option for a couple of different things. If you want to do a single lens mode, you can. So this is single lens mode on the X5, and this gives you basically a full 4K field of view. It's pretty wide still, but it does give you a full 4K field of view. And the best thing about this is that the files come off where you don't have to do anything with them in post. You can just take them right off the camera and post them right on social media. And because it's 360, you can do a 9:16 or 16:9, all the different aspect ratios that you might want to do. Now, GoPro has some of those options as well. You can do straight out of camera a 9:16 or 16:9. But the X5 does have one more trick up its sleeve if you don't want to film 360 video and then reframe it in post. And this is that trick. It's selfie view. And that basically gives you a pre-framed from 360 footage, so you don't need to worry about where you're pointing the camera because it's going to track you. Now, you can also do a custom mode if you want to, but it is pretty useful because, again, you don't see the selfie stick, you know, and you get this really nice pre-frame footage. Now, this is really handy if you do action sports and you don't want to reframe, because you get these just fantastic shots no matter what. The one downside of it is that you only get a 1080p file with a 5.7K 360 backup. So quality's not all the way there yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that's not going to remain that way for very long. And then we come to onboard audio. Now both of these have pretty good onboard audio. This is what the GoPro Hero 13 sounds like with its built-in microphones. It's about 2 feet, 3 feet away, and sounds pretty good. There's no wind out here right now. I've tried to find a windy day, and I've not been successful. And then we have the X5, which has really good built-in audio as well. The one thing I will say is that in my experience in the past is the X5 has this wind cover. It does an amazing job. It really cuts down the wind quite a bit. But the X5 also has the Insta360 audio system. So I have the Insta360 Mic Air on. Turn it on real quick. And now you're listening to the audio from the Insta360 Mic Air, which you've actually heard in a few other clips in this video. But if you're wanting to get rid of wind sound, then this is the way to go. It's close to your body. You can cover it with a little fuzzy fur thing, or you can put it under a shirt and basically work out in insane wind. Now the GoPro does have the option to pair to Bluetooth microphones, but there's a small issue with that. Let me show you what I mean. And now this is the GoPro Hero 13 with the DJI Mic 2 paired to it. Now you could also pair something like AirPods or something like that. I've just never found the audio quality to be that much better. Now the reason for this loss of audio quality is just a limitation of Bluetooth, which is what GoPro is using for external mics. There is something about the stabilization of 360 cameras that's really good. That's not to say, like, they both have really good horizon lock. You are a little bit limited in your field of view on the GoPro. You have to be in linear plus, where the X5, you don't have to worry about that. But of course the X5, you can also twist. Like, it just doesn't matter because you're on a 360 camera. You can pretty much go any direction and you'll get phenomenal stabilization. And then we come to low light, and you got to be realistic. Like, no action camera is going to give you incredible low light, but Insta360 has included their AI processing chip, which essentially gives you this pure video mode that gives you highly processed but really pretty well processed low light mode, and that's what I'm shooting in right now. It's about an hour before sunrise. I mean, there's snow and fog, so there's a fair amount of ambient light, but still, it is very dark. Now again, neither one of these cameras is going to be like a see-in-the-dark camera, but if you're walking around a city where there's some ambient light, the X5 does a really good job. GoPro has never been known for doing really well in extremely low light, just hasn't, and that's one of its biggest weaknesses. And that brings us to battery life. Now, in my experience, the X5 gets at least double the battery runtime of the GoPro, and a lot of that depends on how you're using it and stuff like that, but the biggest strength of the X5 when it comes to battery life is the fact that it has the fast recharging ability of recharging up to 80% in 20 minutes. So that's a huge plus, because GoPro honestly still stuck in a super slow USB charging, and it takes at least an hour to charge. 360 cameras, when they first came out, it was a lot of extra work and the quality was nowhere near as good. Like, it really struggled. But now they're rapidly catching up, and with some of the features available, it's going to be hard to say whether action cameras or 360 cameras are the right one, because that line, that separation is getting closer and closer. Personally, the X5 fared far better than I thought it would when I started out making this video. I thought the image quality of GoPro would actually do substantially better, but it's way closer than I thought it was. Right now, Insta360 is running a sale. You can save 15% using my link below on an X5, and the first 20 people who use that link also get a free double lens replacement kit on top of the other discounts and promos. But next, you're going to want to watch this video right here. I'll see you there. As always, if you have questions, let me know in the comments below, or you can join my live stream, which happens most Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Or we can have more of a conversation, get to questions that maybe I didn't answer this video. I'll see you again soon in the next one. Cheers.